So hello viewers, this is Bhavana, Bhatia, and I welcome you all to the 19 Influencers Talk on the COVID-19 series. Today we have with us a recognized industry leader with over 35 plus years in several large multinational corporations in more than 20 countries. He's the recent recipient of the Rotary International Award for the Ethical Businessman of the Year, best-selling author, and has written 2 business books, one titled Who Cheats and How, and recently Who Blunders and How. He's a much sought after speaker on business issues. He's none other than MD Caprihans India Limited, Robin Banerjee. So Robin, firstly, a very, very warm welcome. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So Robin, starting with our first question. Well, our viewers would like to know that you quoted in your recent article, the way we will behave and do business will undergo a metamorphosis in the years that follow the novel coronavirus. It is best to be prepared. So Robin, what is the impact of the coronavirus on the business and human behavior?
The coronavirus has affected everyone in the world. Never before any particular event had affected 7.5 billion people. First time ever. It has affected 1.3 billion people in India. And therefore, willy-nilly, we like it or not, it's going to affect our behavior. The way we think, eat, drink, and meet people. And this behavior is going to be both in terms of personal behavior and business behavior. But because the coronavirus is an event which we don't know how is it going to pan out, it has a short-term implication, it has a medium-term implication. You will ask, what about long-term? We don't know. Long-term is too long. What happens after, say, let's say 2 years? So I would say short-term, next 3 to 6 months, medium-term between 6 months to 18 months. And if we try to paint a picture today, I would distinguish between personal behavior and business behavior. Let's look at the short-term implications of personal behavior. Most of us know short-term behaviors are, we are staying back at home. Have you ever thought that we will stay back at home days together, weeks together, months together? We never thought about it. Now we are. Number 2, we are getting bored, perhaps some of us out of shape. But what about many? We have now started doing business, learning things, or exchanging facts and figures and making friendships through webinar. Sure. The mobile, laptops, and the computers have become our friends. So another behavioral change in terms of person. Training, mentoring, coaching, it has all started. Many of us had learned something long time back, never updated ourselves. That's something which we have started doing. And many of us have started doing exercises at home. We always thought exercising needs outer space, but most of us are now doing whatever space we have. In terms of business behavior, that's changed quite a bit. Short term I'm talking about. Handshakes have gone. Namaste has come in. And that's very significant because social distancing is going to paint the picture of the future. Short-term business behavior, conserving cash. Everyone wants to conserve cash. Conserve is a nice business English. Actually, rudely speaking, hoarding cash. If you're having money, keep it with you. Don't part it with it. And therefore, the short-term implication is, if you are in business, running after your customers to get your payments and perhaps not paying your vendors. That's what has happened in the short term. Most of us are looking for financing options. Can we go to the bank, get some little financing options done? The finance managers are busy doing that. That's a short term. We're all running after banks and lenders to say, can we get some more money? Short term, another is, we are all started looking at, is health more important than wealth or wealth over health? And if health is more important than wealth, we are all started thinking of our immunity system. We all know there are no medicines as yet, so immunity system is something which we are now thinking short term. So these are the short term implications. If I may go to the medium term implications, personal first, travel. We are not going to travel as much as we wanted to, as much as we did traveling in the past. That's one very important short, medium-term change in personal habits. The second personal habit is whenever we visited someone's home or offices especially, we walked in their offices wearing shoes.
Sure.
That is perhaps going to change. Most of the places we have to open the shoes outside or wear a temporary slipper or a shoe cover and go inside. You will immunize yourself. You will not wear your shoes inside.
Sure.
And of course, there will be social distancing when you are sitting inside and so on and so forth. So that's going to happen medium term. Public gatherings, that's going to be a very important challenge. Perhaps it's not going to happen anymore for a long time. Movies, sports, going to be a change. Restaurants, going out and having fun in restaurants or meeting people, perhaps that's going to take some time. And yes, one change perhaps will take place in our beauty edition or dress sense is most of us will have a face mask on. So that's going to be a medium-term change. Personal. Medium-term change in business, that's perhaps quite a few. The whole medium-term behavior of business will hover around the social distancing. And therefore, the economy is likely to get opened in a phased manner. Some will open up in 1 month's time, some 3 months, some 6 months, and maybe some will open after 1 year. So the phased manner of opening of the economy is going to happen. Because cash is going to be the king, the business cycle is going to contract, which means that selling goods and waiting for a customer to be paid after a long time, that's past. That's not going to happen. So businesses which were buying on cash and selling on credit will get reversed, that buying on credit and selling on cash. Easy to say, but that's the way businesses are going to walk towards, because that's the only way by which you can contract the business cycle.
Sure.
Infrastructure and capex. Government is going to spend a lot of money on infrastructure. Therefore, in medium term, you can expect roads to be made and hospitals to be built. Therefore, there will be steel, cement demand. But private sector capital expenditure, which is called capex in private sector, that's going to shrink. So the demand for infrastructure will come from government and not from the private sector in the medium term. Healthcare, that's going to be the in thing. As I said, it's health over wealth or wealth over health, and that's going to be a huge, huge change. One important medium-term change will be that the world perhaps will not have trust on China anymore. And the Chinese products, in most probability, will be taken over by Indian products. It is important that in the next few months, the Indian entrepreneurs can catch up and play the game so that they can fill up the shoes of the Chinese entrepreneurs. And therefore, I feel food products, health, of course, and education from India is going to boom. The one good thing for educated middle class is Europe is going to need a lot of immigrants. Let's say for Italy, Italians are dying by the dimes and dozens. And who are going to do the job? India will be the logical choice. And in medium term, one more development which will take place is trust deficit. We may not trust another businessman as much. We may not trust another human being as much because of what has happened in the recent past. So in business and in business schools, we were all taught just in time. That means you must get your raw materials on time. You must get your payments on time, just in time. In fact, the medium term, just in time will be replaced by just in case. Just in case something happens. Just in case I don't get the payment. Just in case something goes wrong. What do I do? So just in case in place of just in time.
Sure. So thank you so much, Robin, for giving us these implications in play. Now, for the second question, Robin, what will be the role of technology in your business, and to what extent can it be integrated with human activity being performed from a distant place to your current workplace? Do you really feel that geographically decentralized processes will actually help in insulating business as a better risk management strategy? What's your take on that, Robin?
Technology, question on technology and question on regionalization or manufacturing in one place. I will take the technology first. The technology has two implications, manufacturing and service sector. In the manufacturing sector, the technology will will continue as long as there's social distancing being maintained, which means that if a factory had, let's say, 500 employees in a given space, chances are that the factory will only have to employ 125 and not 500 anymore, or maybe 250. So social distancing will now form part of the technological backdrop, which means the human beings, the human intervention, and the number of human interventions were taking place in a particular place is going to change. That significant change is going to happen. In service sector, social distancing is not important, perhaps as much. However, therefore, IT sector will continue doing well. However, what will happen is the demand from Europe and America might go down because of their financial struggle, but because of rising cyber crime in the world, the IT sector perhaps will be now busy on that sector. So technology will now move towards attacking fraud, cyber crimes, more than perhaps meeting the needs of the European and American customers. Education, that's going to see a significant change in terms of technology. Today, there's the call which we are having together, that technology perhaps will change significantly in 6 months' time. We will be almost sitting across the table and seeing each other, and perhaps we will be seeing each other in the 3D method. So that sort of technology is going to change. Other sectors of service, I would guess the normal technological change will continue to take place, but most of these technological developments in service sector will happen off-site and not on-site, coming back to the whole issue of social distancing. Now, because of the social distancing issue and our way of doing business in the future, we have always been thinking of globalization. That means world is one country, the world is flat. I feel that globalization will now be replaced by regionalization. That means producing and manufacturing goods near the consumption center, which means lesser travel, lesser cost, and moment you do that, social distancing takes place because the regional demands are small. You can employ lesser people and perhaps work for the local people. It's not going to be easy because globalization gives you scale advantages, cost of production goes down. And post-COVID, the world is going to look for cost of production going down. But coming back to the social distancing, there will now be a mix between regionalization and globalization. How will it shape up? Difficult to say, but perhaps there will be movement in that area.
Sure. So, Robin, now for my next question. What do you feel are the challenges one will face on the finance, budgeting and planning? And what do you feel would be the steps and measures one would need to take to reduce the impact of COVID-19 currently? What's your take on that, Robin?
Originally, the budgeting was mostly based on how much profits or losses you are going to make.
Sure.
I feel the budgets are now going to move towards cash budgeting. How much cash I'm going to earn, how much cash I'm going to spend. Not in terms of profit as much, but as much as cash will become more important. Situation number 2, monthly cash budgeting is what will now start happening. People are going to start working month of May, how am I going to survive? Month of June, how am I going to survive? Where will the cash come from? Whom do I spend? If I'm going to get only 100 rupees, I'm going to spend only 100 and not 110. And if I have to spend 110, I have to borrow 10 more. From whom do I borrow? So the whole business segment is now going to go for cash budgeting and also monthly cash budgeting. Many perhaps will do weekly cash budgeting. I would suggest that to all my business colleagues that rather than looking now on profit budgeting and loss budgeting, look for cash budgeting in the short and medium term. Hopefully, that will give us a better resilience possibility and lasting longer.
Sure. A very concrete advice right there, Robin. And to conclude in the last question, that before we part ways, I wonder, is Corona a job virus? You have said that within every catastrophe lies the opportunity if we can manage to reinvent ourselves. So can you please share your thoughts on the same, Robin?
The COVID-19 is surely a job virus. No question about it. Loads of jobs are going to get affected. I hate to say that, but that's going to happen. Therefore, what are the answers? There are two issues. One, long term, but as medium to stroke long term. As I said earlier, most probably India is going to replace China in terms of tomorrow's global sourcing. And if that's going to happen, jobs will get created in India as opposed to somewhere else. That's going to definitely happen. Therefore, all of us have to now make ourselves ready for tomorrow.
Sure.
There are skill gaps. All of us have skill gaps. Can we bridge the skill gaps? We have to reinvent ourselves. Let us say, for instance, I was working in a restaurant as a restaurant boy. I was serving to the customers. Now, if the restaurants gets closed down and the restaurants are unlikely to open up as much, what do? What will happen? The delivery business of food is going to start and will start in a big way. People are still going to have food. And therefore, can I become from a restaurant server to a delivery boy? Please don't look at a concept that, oh, that's a lower level job. No job is lower level. No job is higher level as long as it pays. It is important to understand that we must give credit to the labor which we are incurring. So the bottom line is, each one of us have to reinvent ourselves. Each one of us have our own strengths and weaknesses. Each one of us have our own likings and dislikings. Depending upon what our strengths are, what our likings are, we need to quickly adapt and adopt ourselves to another skill. And look at those business segments where likely demand is going to come. As I said, healthcare sector, e-commerce sector, there are loads of sectors which are going to boom. And of course, there are loads of sectors which are going to suffer. The world is going to see a tectonic change. From certain sectors are going to move to another sector. It's like an earthquake. The moment an earthquake takes place, a hill falls, another hillock takes place. A land goes, another land takes place. That is happening today in the world. If we don't recognize that, we are in a fool's paradise. Please recognize that we need to now adopt and adapt to the new world. The world is now, we always know it's BC and AC, but it is to before Christ and after Christ. But now it's before COVID, after COVID.
Sure. So, Robin, that was an amazing interview with you. And thank you so much for joining us. As you rightly said, BC, AC, before Corona and after Corona. And all your valuable suggestions which have come in this interview will definitely be a great asset to all the viewers. So once again, a big thank you for joining us today, Robin.
Thank you, Bhavana. Thank you. What pleasure talking to you.